Did you guys know that players who cooperate with their teammates win more games? Well, this is Activision's message to us players this time around in good old EOMM W3. We are bearing witness to Activision's hilarious new gaslighting strategy and how they deal with the backlash from Call of Duty's more passionate fan base of better players. Apparently, Activision wants us to know that by placing it dead center of all loading screens, and I think it's the funniest thing I've seen from them in a while, and that's saying something considering their matchmaking intel post was the biggest piece of corporate doublespeak gaslighting I've ever read in my entire life. But the two are actually more related than people think. See, the way Activision addresses their egregiously overbearing matchmaking practices is to describe it like it's not insanely aggravating, and then make it out to be a very philanthropic and player-oriented method that is the best for everyone. However, this new gaslighting method is absolutely hilarious, and it's being made more and more obvious that they're trying to do it. Though this piece of advice is a no-brainer, like, of course, working with your teammates in a team-based shooter is going to end up winning you more games, that's true until you introduce EOMM into the game. Then it just completely invalidates any and all attempts at winning, as it's designed to throw you a string of predetermined results based on your play patterns that takes away any freedom you and your team have to influence the outcome of a match. Even if you play in a 6-stack, the game will make sure that you play against another 6-stack, even in a public match, and if you're supposed to lose, that 6-stack you match against will be better than you. I remember a while back watching a Nero Cinema video, and he said that the game finally matched their 6-stack, which was rolling every team, against some random 6-stack in Scotland, and they lost because their ping was in the mid-hundreds. It doesn't matter what you do, team or not, Call of Duty ends up screwing you over and guaranteeing a loss, so that it can guarantee other players a win. When you win a game, you're more likely to lose the next. It's been proven by Exclusive Ace that each match you win, the worse your connection gets, and he's denied the existence of EOMM and constantly calls it SBMM. It's also been proven that your matches get increasingly more difficult as your performance gets better as a result of weighing skill too heavily within the matchmaking process. Ask anyone who has a higher than average skill level. They'll tell you how the game experience is in public matches when you're not an average level player. What's funny is that placing this tip on the screen while you're loading into a game isn't just some random tip like there was in Black Ops 2 when you could see game tips while you were loading into a match. There hasn't been any loading screen tips in COD for a good amount of time. This instead is an obvious and deliberate direct response to complaints about Call of Duty's matchmaking. The reason I think this is hilarious is because it lines right up with how they handle every other talk about matchmaking. They have to make themselves look good and come across as if they're not just in it for the money, but that they care about the player experience. And so they turn to gaslighting to try to convince us that the matchmaking is the best possible method for everybody and that it's fair, in heavy quotation marks, because apparently everybody has a 50-50 win-loss ratio, which isn't fair, it's just communism. What I find interesting is that the opposite of this statement is players who don't cooperate with their teammates lose more games. And while this isn't directly said, it's clearly what they're trying to make us believe. They're trying to push this weird narrative that we're losing games not because of an overbearing algorithm that is designed to give us predetermined results, but rather they're gaslighting us to think that we lose because we don't cooperate with our teammates, not because the matchmaking is awful, which is obviously a complete lie. The best part is, even if it was the truth that players are losing games because they don't cooperate with their teammates, it's nearly impossible to cooperate with your entire team anyways because 1, no one uses the voice chat anymore due to their woke AI Robocop that monitors every single word you say and can get you banned for saying something deemed offensive by the woke and virtue signaling executives. 2, your teammates don't know how to fire a weapon half the time. And 3, EOMM forces you to play games where the enemy team is predestined to win and you're predestined to lose. So what is the point? Even if the match is close, it's becoming increasingly obvious, and call me a conspiracy theorist all you want, but I'm gonna have a video coming out that backs this up extensively, that algorithms are designed to reduce bullet damage, give you worse hit reg, and basically force you to lose engagements. So even if matches are balanced, one team is getting the brunt of the gameplay manipulations to make sure they win. Call of Duty is rigged. Don't forget that. Another hilarious Call of Duty post I saw on the internet is the video they posted recently that's basically a compilation of a player losing a bunch of games. Then the screen says 17 games later, and then it shows the player finally winning one at the end. And the caption was, get ready for this, "Here's to the ones that never give up," with a flex emoji. Now, I don't know what's funnier, the fact that they literally said in their blog post that the algorithm purposefully makes players experience wins and losses more proportionately, which, by the way, translates to guaranteed results, which is what EOMM, not SBMM, does. So not only does the video not line up with their own public statements about their matchmaking and how it should work, the single win was also 100 to 99, which is hilarious because we can all say we've experienced many matches that were this close due to how competitive public games are for better players. Also, everybody commenting in their Twitter account is just clueless, and it reminds me that the people who are aware of EOMM and how bad the game truly is a minuscule minority of the player base. Everyone just comments, "So hyped for the update! So ready! I can't wait!" Like, seriously? You're hyped to sweat and play a rigged game? I'll pass on that. Regardless of who is responding to it, this is easily identifiable as another gaslighting tactic from good old Activision. It's an underhanded dig at players who complain about the matchmaking. They're almost painting the picture to make it seem like you're a quitter if you log off due to constantly aggravating matches, commending the players who don't log off after 23 consecutive losses and instead decide to play for 7 hours straight just to get that single win. That little dopamine hit that they've been withholding from you all day. Congrats about your 5% win-loss ratio. It's truly hilarious that Activision's only resort when explaining the matchmaking to players who actually care about the future of the game, and I've loved the franchise for a long time, is to gaslight us into either thinking that it's the best for us or making us feel like inadequate players who either don't cooperate with their teammates or quit too early into our play session in order to explain why our experience is so horrible. They don't take the blame. They blame us, and they try to make it sound like everyone is benefiting from their systems and that our losses aren't because their systems suck. Ultimately, the way they handle this issue is awful, and you can tell they care extremely little about the players who actually care about the franchise and who have liked it for a long while. At this point, it seems like mockery. All they want is that boatload of money from the majority, and they don't even bother to attempt to satisfy both parties. They chuck us passionate players to the wind to make way for the cash cows and the whalers. And then after we've been tossed to the wind, they try, with minimal effort and logical fallacies that I learned in high school, like gaslighting, doublespeak, and strawman arguments, to appeal to the passionate player base by explaining their matchmaking decisions. They just hit send after carefully typing out each point with a lawyer right next to them, and prayed we'd be too stupid to see through their lies. I have a whole series breaking down their matchmaking intel if you want more details about that. Now, you'd think that they would ignore us, but no, they took the minority, the overwhelming minority that complained about the matchmaking, and decided to address it head on in a blog post. They know we're here, they know we're complaining, and they still don't care, and they just want to throw us off the scent. Hilarious. Don't let Activision gaslight you. Tell your friends about EOMM. I'm Prime Pete. Take it easy.